The storm rolled across the high desert like a living beast, its black belly torn open by streaks of lightning that revealed for a heartbeat the jagged outlines of mesas and the skeletal forms of trees, clinging stubbornly to the red earth, the air heavy with the mingled scents of sage, pine, and dust churned to mud by the sudden rains. And within this world of chaos moved Kaetan, an Apache hunter of proud lineage, his moccasined feet silent even on the slick stone, his eyes sharp and patient, carrying not only the weapons of his people, a bow strung tight, a quiver of arrows balanced across his back, a knife resting at his hip, but the weight of a spirit molded by generations of survival in a land that demanded both reverence and resilience. His braids, long and dark as ravens' wings, were plastered against his bare shoulders by the downpour, his chest scarred by hunts and battles, his mind attuned to every shift of wind, every crack of branch, every echo carried across the canyons. For Kaetan had learned that the desert did not whisper to those who shouted. It spoke only to those who listened, and listening was his gift, his way of breathing, his means of life itself. And it was in this storm, beneath the hammering rhythm of rain on stone, that he first heard the sound that would bend the course of his path, a sound fragile yet insistent, not the cry of a coyote or the growl of a mountain lion, but the desperate rasp of a man broken, human suffering carved raw into the wind. From the ridge he saw it, a wagon overturned in the gulch below, one wheel split clean through, its canvas ripped and flapping in the storm like the torn skin of some dying beast, its cargo strewn across the mud, barrels smashed, provisions soaking into the earth. And crawling from the wreckage was a settler, pale-skinned, his shirt clinging to him in bloody tatters, his hand pressed to his ribs where crimson seeped with every shallow breath, his face twisted not in arrogance or command, as Kaetan had so often seen from the white men who called his people savages, but in terror, in loneliness, in the naked fear of death, unwelcomed and unprepared. And though every lesson of survival warned Kaetan to walk away, for this was not his fight, and the settlers had brought ruin upon his land, slaughtered the buffalo, poisoned rivers, burned villages, chained and killed those who would not bow, yet he lingered, his bow drawn, his heart divided, for within the dying man's eyes he did not see conquest. He saw a plea, a surrender, a truth unhidden by pride. And then he heard the word, faint as a whisper yet carried to his ear by the storm itself, help. Kaetan descended with the balance of a mountain cat, his presence as silent as shadow, though his bow remained readied, for he trusted no stranger in the land, where deceit had too often been cloaked in weakness. But when he reached the man and pressed fingers to his skin, he felt the fever, the shaking, the shallow breath that spoke of blood, all lost and time running swiftly like water through an open hand. And in that instant, Kaetan chose, not because the settler was deserving, not because the settler's people had earned mercy, but because Kaetan himself would not abandon the humanity within his chest. He would not let the desert claim another life, if his hands could shape fate otherwise, for compassion was not weakness, it was strength, the kind his ancestors honored when they told of warriors who spared even enemies, so the Great Spirit might know them by their mercy. Tearing cloth from his own garment, Kaetan bound the man's wound, packing it with crushed leaves and resin drawn from the pouch at his belt, herbs his mother had taught him to gather, medicines carried not from books but from the whispers of the earth. And as he worked, the settler stared at him with eyes wide, not from fear of death now, but disbelief that help could come from the very man he had been taught to fear, the savage in his people's stories, now the savior at his side. When the man tried to speak, Kaetan silenced him with a single word, steady, deep, spoken in English though tinged with the rhythm of his tongue. Live, lifting him with strength that came not from muscle alone, but from resolve. Kaetan carried him beneath the shelter of pines that leaned heavy with rain, where he built a fire with flint and skill, coaxing flame to life despite the storm's fury, feeding it with dry tinder hidden beneath bark and stones, until warmth flickered across their faces and steam rose from wet clothes. The settler coughed, groaning, words spilling in fragments, his name. His wagon train scattered, ambushed by raiders. His companions fled or killed, left behind like refuse when his strength failed. But Kaetan did not yet care for the tale, for survival came before stories. Breath before words, fire before truth. Outside the circle of light the forest whispered with unseen movement, the crack of a twig, the faint gleam of eyes watching from the dark. And Kaetan knew that both beasts and men prowled these woods, some hungry for flesh, others for vengeance or plunder, and either would find them easy prey if caution was lost. So he fed the fire low, shielding its glow with stone and branch. While his bow remained at his side, every sense awake, the rain now less a storm than a steady curtain, masking sound and scent, a blessing and a curse. Hours passed in this tension, the settler drifting in and out of fevered dreams, whispering names, begging forgiveness from ghosts, clutching Kaetan's arm as if anchoring himself to life. And Kaetan, though hardened by years of struggle, felt within himself an ache he rarely allowed. Pity, yes, but more than pity. A recognition that fate had woven their paths together for reasons unseen, and that his choice this night would ripple outward. For saving one, man might bring danger upon his own people. If the wrong eyes saw mercy where hatred was expected, yet Kaetan had never been one to let fear,